Once upon a time, in a village called Duru, there were many creatures and humans living together. In this village lived a girl named Obiora. She was very beautiful, with a calm and gentle nature. People in the village admired her beauty and kindness. The men of the village would often try to win her heart, saying, "Obiora, you are so lovely. Will you marry me?" But Obiora wasn't interested. She always smiled and said, "Thank you, but I'm not ready." Every day, Obiora would go to the market to sell her goods. She had the best fruits and vegetables, and everyone loved to buy from her. But no one knew where Obiora lived. She always came to the market early and left before dusk, keeping her home a secret. The villagers would whisper, "Where does Obiora go? Where does she live?" But Obiora kept it a mystery. She was happy to be kind and helpful, but didn't share much about herself. And so, Obiora lived quietly in Duru, admired by everyone but keeping her life private. The villagers continued to wonder about the beautiful girl who came and went like a gentle breeze. One sunny day, a handsome man named Amaka came to the market in Duru village. He was looking for some fresh fruits and vegetables. And when he saw Obiora, he was Obiorazed. "Wow," he thought, "she is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." Emeka couldn't take his eyes off her. He walked over and said, "Hello, my name is Emeka. What's your name?" Obiora smiled softly and replied, "I'm Obiora. How can I help you today?" Emeka was so happy to talk to her. He bought some fruits and stayed to chat. They talked about the weather, the village, and the market. Emeka was enchanted by Obiora's gentle voice and kind smile. He started coming to the market every day just to see her. They became friends, and Emeka felt like he was falling in love. One evening, as the market was closing, Emeka noticed it was getting late. He saw Obiora packing up her things and offered, "Let me walk you home. It's not safe to go alone in the dark." Obiora hesitated, but Emeka insisted. She agreed, and they began walking. As they walked, the sky grew darker and the air became chilly. Suddenly, Emeka felt something strange. A cold hand touched his back. He turned around, but no one was there. His heart raced and he felt scared. He looked at Obiora, who seemed calm walking ahead. Emeka couldn't shake the fear. He stopped and said, "Obiora, I think I should go back. It's getting too dark." Obiora turned to him and gently said, "It's okay, Emeka. You can go back if you're scared." She smiled softly. With fear in his eyes, Emeka nodded and hurried back to the village. He ran and ran until he reached his home. From that day, Emeka never returned to the market to see Obiora again. He was too scared of the mysterious cold hand and the dark night. Obiora missed him, but continued her peaceful life in the village. The villagers wondered why Emeka suddenly stopped visiting the market, but no one knew the secret of that night. Obiora had a secret. She wasn't just an ordinary girl from the village. She was actually from the deep, magical forest beyond Duru. In the forest, Obiora lived with her family, who were not human. They had the ability to take different forms, but Obiora was the only one who could look like a human all the time. Her family loved her very much, but they didn't want her to get close to humans. Her parents had always warned her, saying, "Obiora, you must not marry a human. Our world and theirs are too different." They were very protective of her. When Emeka started visiting Obiora, her parents got worried. They didn't want her to fall in love with him, so they decided to scare him away. The cold hand that Emeka felt on his back was her family's doing, a trick to keep him away from Obiora. Obiora felt sad. She liked Emeka and wanted to have friends in the village. She didn't want to live under her family's rules anymore. She wanted to be free, to make her own choices and live among the humans. So, Obiora made a big decision. She decided to cut ties with her family in the forest and stay in Duru village. One day, she went deep into the forest to say goodbye to her family. She told them, "I love you, but I want to live my own life. I want to be free to make my own choices." Her parents were sad but understood her wish. They warned her one last time. "Be careful, Obiora. The world outside can be harsh." With a heavy heart, Obiora left the forest and moved to the village for good. She hoped to find happiness and maybe even love among the humans. She continued to sell her goods in the market, keeping her past a secret. The villagers only knew her as the beautiful and kind girl from the market, not knowing the magical world she came from. After leaving her family in the forest, Obiora felt a mix of freedom and fear. She wanted to live her own life, but knew it wouldn't be easy. To make sure she wouldn't be pulled back into her family's world, Obiora decided to visit Abiri's shrine. Abiri was a powerful spirit, known for helping those who sought a different path in life. Obiora walked to the shrine and knelt before Abiri's altar. She spoke with a soft but determined voice. "Great Abiri, I wish to sever all connections with my family. I want to live freely in Duru village, away from their control." Abiri appeared in a soft glow and listened to Obiora's request. The spirit nodded and said, "I understand your wish, Obiora. I will grant you the freedom you seek, but know this, your family will not be happy. They may try to curse you to bring you back." Obiora, with a brave heart, nodded. "I understand. I still want to go through with it," she said. Abiri raised a hand and granted Obiora's wish. With a gentle wave, the bond between Obiora and her family was cut. But true to Abiri's warning, when her family realized they had lost their connection to Obiora, they were furious. Her mother, in anger and sorrow, laid a curse on her. She whispered to the winds, "May you never find happiness with a human. May they always leave you in despair." Despite the curse, Obiora stayed in Duru. She continued her life in the village, selling in the market and interacting with the people. She hoped to find love and a sense of belonging, even though a shadow of the curse hung over her. Obiora was determined to live her life freely, no matter the challenges ahead. She kept her kind and gentle nature, hoping one day she would meet someone who could see past the curse and love her for who she was. One day, a well-known merchant named Kalu came to Duru village. He traveled from village to village, selling fine cloth and beautiful garments. Kalu was friendly and charming, and many people liked him. When he saw Obiora at the market, he was struck by her beauty and grace. "Who is this lovely girl?" he wondered. Kalu approached Obiora with a big smile. "Hello, I'm Kalu. I travel around selling beautiful cloth. You must be Obiora, the girl everyone talks about," he said. Obiora smiled back and replied, "Yes, that's me. It's nice to meet you, Kalu." Kalu was captivated by her gentle voice and kind eyes. He started visiting the market more often, always stopping by Obiora's stall. They talked and laughed, and Kalu found himself falling in love with her. He thought Obiora was not only beautiful, but also sweet and kind. After some time, Kalu decided he wanted to marry Obiora. He was excited and told her, "Obiora, I like you very much. Will you marry me and come live with my family?" Obiora, who had been cautious about love because of her past experiences, felt a spark of hope. She agreed to meet Kalu's family. Kalu was happy and took her to his village to introduce her to his parents. When they arrived, Kalu's mother looked at Obiora with a frown. She had heard whispers about Obiora's mysterious past and the strange events around her. This girl, she is beautiful, but there's something off about her, she thought. After talking with Obiora for a while, Kalu's mother shook her head. I'm sorry, Kalu, but I don't trust this girl. There's a curse around her. She is not suitable for our family, she said firmly. Kalu was shocked and saddened. He liked Obiora very much, but he respected his parents' wishes. He looked at Obiora with a heavy heart and said, Obiora, I'm sorry. My mother doesn't approve of our marriage. I must listen to my family. Obiora felt her heart break. She had hoped Kalu would see past the curse, but she understood his choice. With tears in her eyes, she nodded and quietly left Kalu's home. She returned to Duru village, feeling the weight of the curse once more. Though her heart was heavy, Obiora continued to live in Duru, still hoping that one day she would find someone who could love her despite the curse. She stayed strong and continued her daily life, always kind and gentle, even when her heart was hurting. After the heartbreak with Kalu, Obiora felt the weight of the curse more than ever. She was sad and tired of being pushed away because of it. Desperate for a solution, Obiora decided to return to Abiri's shrine. She hoped that the powerful spirit could help her find peace and leave the curse that haunted her. Obiora walked to the shrine and knelt before Abiri's altar once more. With a heavy heart she pleaded, Great Abiri, the curse placed upon me is causing so much pain. Please, help me lift it so I can find happiness and be free from this burden. Abiri appeared in a soft, glowing light. The spirit listened to Obiora's plea and saw the sincerity in her eyes. Obiora, you have endured much because of this curse, Abiri said gently. I can lift the curse from you, but there is a condition. You must remain calm and never let anger take over your heart. If you get angry, the curse will return, and it will be even stronger. Obiora nodded eagerly, her eyes full of hope. I promise, Abiri, I will stay calm and keep my heart pure. Please lift the curse, she vowed. With a wave of Abiri's hand, a warm, gentle breeze surrounded Obiora. She felt a weight lift off her shoulders, and the curse was gone. Obiora felt a new sense of freedom and hope. She thanked Abiri with all her heart and returned to Duru village, determined to live a good life. Back in the village, Obiora continued her daily routine. She sold her goods at the market and greeted everyone with her usual kindness. The villagers admired her beauty and calm demeanor. They didn't know about the curse or the struggles she had faced, but they could see the gentle and serene person she was. Obiora felt lighter, knowing the curse was gone. She remained mindful of her promise to Abiri, keeping her emotions in check and staying calm in every situation. She hoped that one day she would find someone who could love her for who she was, free from the shadows of her past. And so, Obiora continued to live in Duru village, admired and respected by many, always holding on to hope for a brighter future. One warm afternoon, Obiora went to the village stream to fetch water. As she sat on a rock, thinking about her life and the challenges she had faced, she felt a deep sadness. She missed having someone to share her life with. As she sat there, a gentle voice called out, "Are you okay?" Obiora looked up and saw a kind-faced man standing by the water. He had a warm smile and gentle eyes. "My name is Chidubem," he said, walking closer. "You looked sad, and I wanted to make sure you're all right." Obiora felt a warmth from his kindness. "Thank you, Chidubem. I'm Obiora," she replied softly. They talked for a while. and Obiora found herself opening up to him. Chidubem listened with care and comforted her, making her feel at ease. Over the days, Chidubem and Obiora met often at the stream. They would talk and laugh, and Obiora felt a bond growing between them. Chidubem was kind and understanding, and he didn't pry into her past. He just enjoyed her company and made her feel valued. One day, Chidubem told Obiora, "I care about you, Obiora. You are a wonderful person and I want to be with you." Obiora was surprised. She felt a mix of emotions, hope, fear, and a bit of happiness. She hesitated, remembering the curse and her past heartbreaks. But Chidubem's sincerity touched her heart. Obiora finally said, "I like you too, Chidubem, but I have been through a lot. Are you sure you want to be with me?" Chidubem nodded with a smile. "I am sure, Obiora. Let's make a life together." And so they became close. Chidubem treated Obiora with respect and care, and she found herself growing fond of him. They spent time together, and their bond deepened. It wasn't long before Chidubem proposed to Obiora. He wanted to make her his wife and share a happy life with her. With joy in her heart, Obiora accepted his proposal. They began to plan their wedding, dreaming of a future together filled with love and happiness. For the first time in a long while, Obiora felt a true sense of hope. She believed that with Chidubem, she could finally find the peace and love she had been searching for. The village buzzed with excitement for the upcoming wedding, and Obiora felt a warm glow of happiness, hoping this would be the start of a beautiful new chapter in her life. The day of Obiora and Chidubem's wedding arrived, and the village of Duru was filled with excitement. Everyone gathered in the village square, decorated with colorful flowers and bright banners. The villagers danced, sang, and celebrated, happy to see Obiora and Chidubem together. The air was filled with joy and laughter as they exchanged vows under the warm sun. Obiora looked radiant in her beautiful dress, and Chidubem couldn't stop smiling. They promised to love and cherish each other, surrounded by the cheers and blessings of the villagers. It was a perfect day, and everyone felt the love and happiness in the air. As night fell, the couple retired to their new home, ready to start their life together. But as they prepared to rest, something strange happened. Obiora began to feel uneasy. Her body felt different, and a cold shiver ran down her spine. She looked at Chidubem with worry in her eyes. Suddenly, Obiora's body started to change. Her legs fused together, her skin turned scaly, and before they knew it, she transformed into a giant python. Chidubem's eyes widened in shock and terror. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Obiora, now a huge snake, looked at him with sad eyes. Overcome with fear, Chidubem screamed and ran out of the house. He stumbled through the village, shouting for help. The villagers, hearing his cries, quickly gathered around their home. They saw Chidubem, pale and shaken, pointing towards the house. The villagers cautiously approached, and there, slithering out of the doorway, was the giant python. They gasped and backed away, murmuring in fear and confusion. They had never seen anything like it. Some of the elders whispered, "Is this the curse we've heard about?" The joyous wedding had turned into a night of fear and confusion. The villagers didn't know what to do. They were scared of the giant snake, but also remembered the kind Obiora they knew. The village square, which had been filled with laughter and music just hours before, now stood silent, with everyone watching in disbelief. The village elders decided to call for the oracle, hoping for answers and a solution to this shocking event. The village was in a state of shock and confusion after the unexpected events of the wedding night. The elders quickly gathered and decided to call for the oracle, hoping to understand what had happened. The villagers gathered in the village square, whispering and wondering about Obiora and the giant python she had become. The oracle arrived, a wise figure who had guided the village through many mysteries. The elders and the villagers stood in a circle, waiting for answers. The oracle stepped forward and asked Obiora to come forward. The giant python slowly slithered into the center, and, with a deep sigh, Obiora spoke, her voice filled with sorrow. "I am Obiora," she began. "I come from a family in the forest. I am the only one who can take human form. My parents never wanted me to marry a human because they feared it would bring trouble. They tried to scare away anyone who got close to me. But I wanted a normal life, to find love and happiness like everyone else. So I severed ties with my family, but they cursed me, saying I would never find true happiness with a human." The villagers listened, their fear turning into sympathy. They had always known Obiora as a kind and gentle person. The elders looked at the oracle, who nodded solemnly, acknowledging the truth in Obiora's words. Then the oracle turned to Chidubem. "Chidubem, do you have anything to say?" they asked gently but firmly. Chidubem, still shaken and ashamed, stepped forward. He hesitated, but under the oracle's steady gaze, he finally spoke. "Yes, I have something to confess," he said, his voice trembling. "I was drawn to Obiora because of her beauty and kindness, but I also had other intentions. I thought I could use her to gain wealth and power. I planned to take her money and leave her behind once I got what I wanted." A gasp went through the crowd. The villagers were shocked by Chidubem's confession. They had always seen him as a kind and caring man. The elders looked at him with disappointment, and the oracle sighed deeply. "You planned to betray Obiora's trust and use her for your gain," the oracle said. "This is a grave wrongdoing. Obiora wanted nothing more than a normal life and love, but you saw her as a means to an end." Chidubem hung his head in shame, unable to meet the eyes of the villagers. The truth had been revealed, and it was a painful revelation for everyone. The oracle and the elders now had to decide what would happen next. The villagers watched, their hearts heavy with the weight of the truth, as they awaited the oracle's judgment. The villagers held their breath as the oracle stood in the middle of the village square, deep in thought. After a long silence, the oracle finally spoke, their voice calm but firm. "Obiora sought a life of peace and love, while Chidubem sought to use her for his gain," the oracle began. "In this world, actions have consequences. Chidubem, you cannot escape the responsibility of your intentions and actions." The oracle turned to Chidubem, who stood trembling. "You cannot be freed from Obiora," the oracle declared. "You must stay with her as your wife. This is the consequence of your deceit, and the lesson you must learn. You wanted to use her, but now you will live with the person you intended to betray. This is your punishment." A murmur went through the crowd. The villagers were shocked by the oracle's decision. They had not expected such a verdict. Many felt sympathy for Obiora, who had suffered so much, and they were uncertain about Chidubem's fate. However, they respected the oracle's wisdom and knew that their judgment was fair and just. Chidubem looked devastated. He realized the gravity of his actions and the consequences he now faced. He glanced at Obiora, who was still in her python form, her eyes filled with sadness and resignation. Chidubem knew he had no choice but to accept the oracle's decision. The oracle raised a hand to quiet the murmurs. This union must now stand as a reminder of the importance of honesty, respect, and true intentions. Chidubem and Obiora will leave Duru village together. They must face the challenges ahead as they try to find a new path, wherever that may lead. The villagers nodded, understanding the weight of the oracle's words. They knew that Chidubem's punishment was not just for his sake, but as a lesson for everyone about the consequences of deceit and the value of true love. With the oracle's verdict, the gathering came to a solemn end. The villagers began to disperse, whispering among themselves about the events of the day. Chidubem and Obiora, bound by fate and the oracle's decree, prepared to leave the village. It was a difficult and uncertain path ahead, but they knew they had to face it together. The village of Duru would remember this tale for a long time as a story of love, betrayal, and the search for redemption. The villagers watched as they departed, some with sympathy and others with curiosity. It was a somber farewell, knowing the two would face an uncertain future together. Chidubem and Obiora walked towards the forest, where Obiora's family lived. As they entered the thick woods, the air felt different, more magical and mysterious. Chidubem was nervous, not knowing what to expect. Obiora, still in her python form, led the way. They finally reached a hidden clearing where Obiora's family resided. As they arrived, Obiora's family members, each with their unique forms, emerged. Some had features of animals, while others appeared more ethereal and mystical. They watched silently as Obiora and Chidubem approached. Chidubem, feeling the weight of his actions, stepped forward and bowed his head. "I am sorry for my intentions," he said, his voice sincere. "I wanted to use Obiora for my own gain, but I have learned my lesson. I accept the oracle's judgment and ask for your forgiveness." Obiora's parents, who had been worried about her, listened carefully. They could see the regret in Chidubem's eyes and the seriousness in his voice. After a moment of silence, Obiora's mother spoke. "We see that you are truly sorry, Chidubem. We forgive you, but know that living here will not be easy. You must respect our ways and care for Obiora." Chidubem nodded gratefully. "I understand and will do my best," he promised. With that, Obiora's family accepted him into their world. They welcomed him, not as a perfect person, but as someone willing to learn and grow. Chidubem had to adapt to a life very different from what he knew in the village. The creatures of the forest were kind and gentle, but they had their own ways and customs. Chidubem worked hard to fit in, learning about their magical world and the responsibilities that came with it. Obiora, now free to be herself, sometimes stayed in her human form, while other times she was a python or another form entirely. Chidubem grew to understand and accept her in all her forms. They both found a new rhythm to their lives, far from the hustle and bustle of the village. As time passed, Chidubem learned to appreciate the beauty and peace of the forest. He became a part of Obiora's family, helping them and sharing in their lives. He accepted his fate and made the best of his new life, finding moments of joy and peace. Obiora, too, felt a sense of belonging and acceptance. She was with her family and had someone who chose to stay with her despite the challenges. Together, they found a new kind of happiness, different from what they had imagined but fulfilling in its own way. They learned that love and acceptance could come in many forms, and they embraced the life they had, finding contentment in their new home in the magical forest. I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video, comment what you learned from the tale, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more enchanting tales just like this one. Thank you.